I know he's probably getting tired of me saying this every interview, but my next guest, I think, has the best name in MMA. Parker Porter. He's not an 80s villain. He's a heavyweight fighter. He's going to be competing against Braxton Smith, UFC 288, next Saturday. Live from the gym here this morning. Parker, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Doing awesome. Looks like you got a full camp for this one. When did you find out?
I actually found out about 2.5 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Oh, so no full camp then. Short notice. Interesting.
No full camp, but just fortunately happened to be in a great position training wise and readiness wise. So we were like, yeah, it's a no brainer to take this fight, of course.
Were you kind of aiming to fight around this time, or what would have been ideal for you?
This was definitely an area, a timeline wise, like May, June. I would, once I found out about the New Jersey card, I was, like, oh, that would be great to get on that card. It's probably as close to home as I'll ever get besides Boston or Madison Square. But yeah, so we always kind of like had that sort of in mind as far as, like that's when timeline wise I'd like to be ready to get back in there.
Yeah, which makes things a bit easier. It's not like something that just sort of came out of the blue. I mean, again, full camp would have been nice, but still, like the fact that you thought you were going to fight here is good news as well. Let's quickly talk about that last fight. I know not the result you wanted. What did you learn the most in that one against Justin Taffa?
Yeah, that didn't go the way that I wanted, obviously. We had done all of our homework, did everything we needed to do to make sure we were prepared. And when it came time to execute, I made, one hairline mistake that he was able to capitalize on, and good for him, man. It was all he needed to get the W and off my on switch.
And this fight, taking on Braxton Smith, did you know much about him before taking this fight, or was he one of those guys you had to look up?
No, I had to look him up. This is going to be his debut fight, but he does look like he's been on a bit of a tear. He just kind of made his debut back in 2014 against Chase Sherman, actually. Lost that fight and took some serious time off. And then as he got back into it in 2022, I believe, he's just been running through guys left and right. So I'm looking forward to bringing, introducing him to the UFC.
Yeah, no, but I know what you're trying to say. That makes sense. Let me ask you this: after kind of researching him, any sort of past opponents remind you of him at all that you can think of, like in preparing for this fight?
Not really particularly anybody that I've fought or faced. But like he's really kind of similar to a friend and training partner that I have, Will Knight. So I've been getting a lot of extra work and sparring in with Will. Similar body type, height, style, everything. So I'm doing a lot of work with Will lately.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Obviously part of the same management group too. And that guy what's his bench press? That was always something that impressed me. He can lift like a crazy amount.
Astronomical.
Could probably lift up a car, if he wanted to, right? Like he's got some like superhuman strength.
Yeah, he's freakishly strong.
Yeah, no, I bet. Just kind of looking at him, it's crazy. How much do you think experience will play into this? You mentioned it's his debut. You've been there before. You've had that UFC debut. You've had an interesting career in terms of who you fought and all that. How much will that play into this fight, do you think?
I think it's going to play a bigger role than most people would think. Like I said, I've been there. I've been under the lights. I've been in the arenas. I've been in front of tens of thousands of people before. So it's really just another day at the office for me. Whereas like really the question in mind is how it's going to impact him. Is being on the bigger stage, the larger production going to, cause him to waver? Is he going to get any nerves with that? Or is he going to be hesitant or have some kind of big adrenaline dump or what? Really, it's more about what it's going to be for him. That's kind of the question up in the air. But for me, I'm, going to be cool as a cucumber in there like usual.
Yeah. And you mentioned training with William Knight. Who have been some of the other training partners helping you get ready for this one?
My go-to guys all the time, Kia Galampour, Dan Friesick, and my Muay Thai coach, Ed Dorton.
You talk at all still to Glover? I know he's retired now. Great career, just outstanding what he's been able to accomplish. And obviously he's getting to sort of prep Alex Pereira these days, but do you guys ever keep in touch?
We have not been in touch recently, but we don't have we never had like any kind of falling out or anything. We just, he's been doing his thing and I've been doing my thing and we haven't had a chance to reconnect, but I've been really meaning to try and get down there and go see him and say hello and reconnect with him and possibly set up some cross-training stuff between myself and Pereira and him and his gym and my guys.
Yeah, that would be great. And your corner, will that be the same? Who are you going to have in there?
Same as always, man. I got my staple guys that are behind me 100%. Ed, Dan, and Kia. They're They're the guys that are, they're not yes men. They're not going to be out there telling me exactly what I want to hear. They're going to be telling me the truth, which is exactly why I picked them. If I'm messing up, they're going to call me on it. If I need to tighten something up, they're going to tell me what I need to do. And that being said, if I'm doing a good job, they'll also not hesitate to say that as well. So they tell me exactly what it is that needs to be said when it needs to be said.
Now, I don't think this fight's going to the scorecards. That's typically, I know, not what you want to do there. How do you see this fight playing out coming up here next Saturday?
I think you're going to see a second round or first or second round finish. Like he's a good kickboxer. He's got a bunch of knockouts on his record now. But I don't think he's fought anybody quite on my level. I'm in the best shape I've been in since getting signed to the UFC. I'm walking around at 250 pounds now as opposed to over 265, 270. So I'm feeling lighter, quicker, leaner, just as sharp as ever.
I don't think we've spoken since your former opponent, John Jones, went out there and defeated Cyril Gahn. Just your reaction to that performance that he put on, making it look easy.
That was incredible, and he did exactly what I thought he would do. A lot of people were like, oh, I don't know, Cyril. And I'm like, listen, nothing to take anything away from Cyril, but this is John Jones that we're talking about. He's on a completely different level, all of his own. Like, it's not just a matter of, the matchup or the skill sets or whatever it may be. The dude he virtually looks untouchable, especially after a performance like he had taking that belt.
And a fight I think we'd like to see next after this last Saturday. I don't know if it will happen, but Sergey Pavlovich, what did you think of him running right through Curtis Blades?
Amazing. Curtis Blades is a tough guy with great wrestling and grappling. He's not weak by any means. And the fact that Sergey was able to handle the things the way that he did, I think that will truly be, the biggest challenge for John if the Stipe match doesn't come through.
I have this theory. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. I don't think John Jones ever fights Sergey Pavlovich. I think John's got one fight left. I know he signed an 8-fight deal, but I think he's being very selective in that he wants to fight Stipe to get obviously the cachet that comes with, beating a former champion, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. And then I think he's bouncing and that's it. Do you agree with that? Or do you think we will see him take, at least one or two more fights?
I agree with that theory. Actually, I have pretty much the exact same theory. I think that what he's trying to do is really just cement his legacy in the record books and his name. He almost seems like he's bored with what he's got going on because he's faced so many challenges, overcame them. And now he's like, this is really the only major challenge or feather left to put in my cap before I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm on the bigger and better things, so to speak.
Well, and I think it comes down to name value. I think part of the reason he moved up to heavyweight was to fight Francis. Now Francis is out of the equation. The only other big fight is Stipe, and I think outside of that, it's not that I don't think like John is scared to fight anyone. I just think that it's very strategic. Kind of reminds me of George St. Pierre, right? He fights Bisping, and then he's like, "I'm good, I'm out," and he gets all that recognition, right? So
absolutely, no, I think it's on the same. From a business standpoint, it's the most intelligent and logical thing for him to do.
How many more fights do you have left in your contract? I was trying to remember that.
Last one on this contract, actually. So it's kind of
big fight then, right? You go in. Yeah. So, obviously adds a little bit more to this fight. But I mean, so, and this is like the final fight. Cause I know sometimes you have, I think 3, you do 4-fight deal, third fight, then you renegotiate on the fourth. So you're saying this is your fourth fight?
This is fight number 4. The fight number 3.
Oh, okay. So the very final one.
Fight. Yeah.
Okay. And, again, I know the focus is on May 6th and that's the plan, but I imagine like, at this stage in your career, you want to stay with the UFC. You don't want to go anywhere else, or what's sort of the thinking there?
That's the plan. Yeah. Go in there, handle my business on the 6th, get a new contract and stay with the company as long as I can. By the time that I just feel like, I'm definitely not done by any means, so if God forbid things don't go my way, you'll definitely see me pursuing either at least another contract or another shot with the UFC. If not, pursuing avenues with other promotions and whatnot. But, no, I kind of like have it in my head that I'm going to stay in the UFC for at least a couple more years, get my, make my stamp, get my, accomplish the goals and check off the items on my bucket list that I have to check off. And then when they decide that they don't want to keep me on the roster anymore, that'll be the day that I'm done.
And yeah, no, like, because I got to ask, just because you see a lot of heavyweights do this, no interest in like bare knuckle or anything, even though it seems like I know they pay well, but is that something you'd ever be
No, not
interested in?
really. No, and,
No.
I'm sure my
Yeah.
wife is really appreciative of that too, because like
Right. Yeah.
trying to stay as reasonably pretty looking as I can.
Right. Exactly. Well said. And before we get out of here, speaking of your wife and everything, I know, I forget which interview it was. I want to say like maybe 3 or 4 ago. I remember you're doing the house renovations. How's all that going? Is he still working on your house?
We're making some good progress. We finally kind of have some more order and organization. We're hoping to reside in this spring, so this fight will be helpful in that endeavor. But yeah, things are going good. We're making good progress. And speaking of wives, how's your wife doing? I know she was.
Oh, she's doing. I really appreciate that, man. Yeah, she's doing a lot better. We had a bit of a scare almost a month ago now.
Yeah.
Just when we got back from vacation, and doctors still didn't know exactly what happened. They think it was viral. But yeah, your health is like the most important thing. So that's something that we had to endure. But yeah, she's doing better, and really appreciate you asking, man, because it was scary. Like, no, it's you know how it is, right? Like when the doctors don't have answers, and our healthcare system's a little bit different here. So like in Canada, like we don't have to pay for like staying at the hospital and stuff. It's part of our taxes. But with that as well, you wait a lot for testing. So like getting an MRI, an ultrasound, all the stuff that she needed to get was taking a while. Yeah, where it's not as snap. So I see the pros and cons to it, but also, again, it takes a little bit longer.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, I'm glad she's doing better, and that the scary part is, you guys are kind of out of the woods in that sense.
We are, yeah. No, things are turning a corner, and so are you, man. This is good to see you back, Parker. UFC 288, May 6th. If there's anyone you want to thank before you get out of here, any sponsors, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
I thank all the usual guys that I thank, Kia Galumpur, my wrestling coach, my longtime training partner, and now kind of almost turned boxing coach, Dan Frazick, and of course my Muay Thai coach, Ed Thornton. Thank you to my wife, thank you to my kids. Thank you to everybody that supports me. And thank you to everybody that doesn't, because you all just drive me and fuel me, whether it's to prove you right or to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove it.